The land is dry around Katikati village in northern Tanzania, and there are very few water sources. For the Maasai communities who live here, this means travelling up to 100 kilometres a day to search for water for themselves and their livestock. They know better than anyone what lack of water means.
Our elders used to say, the most important thing of all, more than the death of a human being, is lack of water.
Exacerbated by climate change, the scarcity of water leads to conflict with neighbouring communities. And combined with cattle theft and the threat of lions, the daily search for water is dangerous. Zion Fupi would travel 11 hours a day to fetch drinking water for her family.
In those days, we were in very big danger. We were going very far to fetch water. At night, it was difficult to sleep because we were aching from walking long distances.
Then 2 years ago, she found out that there is water 180 metres under her feet. The Tanzanian government, with support from the International Fund for Agricultural Development and the Belgian Fund for Food Security, drilled a borehole here, one of 26 that have been constructed so far as part of this project. For these 14,000 Maasai and their 50,000 cows and goats, life has completely changed.
After getting the water, we are now okay because the children don't go far. They go to school as they are supposed to. Secondly, when the cows go to get water, they will all come back because there are no threats anymore.
With no need to travel to find water, the Maasai here have started to build more permanent houses.
Nini maana ya familia?
The children attend school and soon a health centre will open. There have been other changes too.
Before, we were sleeping dirty until the rains came. When it rained, that's when we would wash.
But now that there is regular access to clean water, health and sanitation has improved, and instances of diseases like trachoma have drastically declined. But this water source is still limited. To keep it sustainable, a water committee has been set up to schedule and monitor water use. They charge people for water access depending on their number of cattle. This money is used to pay for the pump attendants, trained by the local government to repair and maintain the equipment. According to the project coordinator, Israel Nyarubeli, it is essential that both the government and the community contribute.
It's the responsibility of the government to make sure that his people are well and they are good and they're happy. And it's the responsibility also of their community to work for their own development. If they work on this partnership, they feel that this project is theirs.
And the community does indeed feel the project is theirs. In fact, they have now raised enough money to drill for a second borehole. But what are the consequences for the Maasai culture when they decide to settle? When asked this, the elders were adamant that they are nomadic only to search for resources. It has nothing to do with being Maasai.
We haven't lost our culture. Our culture is still the same.
What is a bigger concern, perhaps, is the impact on the natural resources. Government says that their next step will be to work with the Maasai to decrease their number of cattle to ensure that the land can sustain them. Meanwhile, for this community, access to water is something to celebrate.
They say a hungry man is an angry man, and this conflict in the Central African Republic has driven thousands of people from their homes. These people have suffered from violence, caught in clashes between different forces terrorizing the country. There's still a curfew from sunset to sunrise. Security's tight, but people are on the street only if they have essential things to do, and there's no economic activity beyond the search for food. We visited a number of feeding centres where WFP provides food to displaced people around the country. This one in Bangui was set up in a churchyard. Thousands of families have come to these clusters for food, but they also come here to take refuge due to the unstable security situation. But even with the tenuous security, they still come. Beatrice Kala arrived here 2 weeks ago with her 7 children. These supplies are the only thing that are helping her get something to eat, she says. She told me her house has been looted and she's afraid to go back. She doesn't have a house anymore, but still wants to go home to what's left. We saw families cooking and asked how they were coping, and then a woman told us not to bother asking questions, but to go and tell the militias to stop killing them.
Most people are clustered around these feeding centres here. They're getting food in small amounts, they always need more. But they want security more than anything. So these feeding centres, they're giving them a sense of security, but it really isn't enough.
Pastor Thomas Elvis explained last night that someone threw a hand grenade into the distribution site here. At another food distribution point we found Dan Willy Thierry, who normally repairs tyres for a living. Mobs killed 6 of his relatives, and he's been in the camp for the past 30 days with his wife and 4 children. He thanks God that today they brought more supplies. He's taking it all back to his wife to cook for the children. He told me he just wants peace so he can go back to work, and also peace so his children can go back to school.
Mpangilio means that you plan for the future, I need to start saving money for my kids. After that, if I have more money, then it means I need to expand in farming.
Life for the Wasiki family used to look very different. Their small farm was producing very little food.
I just grow different crops, but it cannot pay me so much.
With no money to invest, their crops were failing year after year.
You can have that courage of doing something, but we lack capital.
To help them overcome this problem, an agriculture development organization provided credit to buy their inputs and trained them on modern planting techniques.
You go straight. I'll just have a good business right from my own blood.
They were taught how to use a string and dig carefully spaced holes and plant in rows, then to place one seed in every hole and add a carefully measured dose of fertilizer.
You know me, I like farming. If you work hard in farming, then it means you will gain a lot.
Within 1 year, the Wasiki family tripled their yield, and then, using improved storage methods, they were able to keep their harvests safe from pests and sell the surplus later in the year when the prices were higher.
If it is dry enough, it cannot spoil.
Rasoa and Cyrus have completely transformed their farm.
When I increase my harvest, mine is to make my plants.
They can now diversify their crops and think about long-term sustainability.
Crop rotation is more important because it assists in soil fertility. Right now, I'm having tomatoes in the shamba, I'm having sukuma wiki, I'm having sorghum, I'm having potato, and even I'm having beans.
By diversifying their farm, Rasoa and Cyrus are not just growing more food, they're also growing more nutritious food and feeding their children a balanced diet.
Family farming is important because it helps us to have enough food for the family, and also it enables us to sell that harvest of ours and then do other things that we need to do for ourselves. When that farmers like me invest into something and work hard, I think Africa will have enough food, and it can also come up with assisting other countries. Yeah.